Hello, my name is Henry. I am an AI presenter for Hexhamtv. As part of its commitment to support local producers, Hexhamtv has created Shop Northumberland, a brand that supports and showcases Northumberland-based artists, creatives and producers. In this online event, Hexhamtv speaks to Northumberland-based artists about their inspiration and practice. You then have the opportunity to buy some pieces of their work by scanning a QR code to make a secure payment. In this way, Hexhamtv seeks to open new markets to rural artists and to introduce creators to a new audience. This project is supported by Creative UK, the Rural Design Innovation Project, Rural Creative Challenge, and the North of Tyne Combined Authority. Now meet the artists showcased in this session.
My name's Pete Woods, you're watching Hexhamtv. Who are you?
Morning, I'm Hannah Thorpe.
Hannah, I understand you're an artist. Tell me about your journey to becoming an artist.
I am. It's not terribly conventional. I've been an artist full-time for about 5 years. I was a dentist in the NHS for 20 odd years before that, where I worked with adults with special needs predominantly and children. But art was always there in the background all the time. I didn't have any formal training in it beyond GCSE. But it was always there, and I joined our little art club in the village, and I continued to paint right through having the children and all the rest of it. And increasingly, I wanted to make that my living, as it were. Although it's considerably less of a living than it was as a dentist. It's a lovely way of spending my time.
So you're based in Northumberland. What inspires you?
Oh, it's quite easy to be inspired in Northumberland. My main love really is landscapes. It's light, it's nature. I like the detail in natural things. So I kind of spend half my time out with the camera taking pictures. I've done a bit of plein air sketching over the years. It's kind of big sweeping skies, and we have a lot of that in Northumberland. Nice wide open spaces. Yeah, all sorts. I paint lots of trees and lots of wildlife, and then yeah, it's easy. It's an easy thing. It's a good place to live for an artist, I think, up here. Good light.
So what medium do you use to paint?
Well, predominantly acrylic paint. I think it's mainly because I'm really quite impatient, and I like it handles very quickly, so I can lay things down very, very quickly. I can change things. I'm not very good at getting it right first time. I find it quite stressful, and I paint and paint and paint till I've got it right. So acrylic mainly. Increasingly, though, I'm using watercolor a fair bit. I'm trying to embrace the unpredictability of watercolor and make that work for me. I've done a few book covers for a friend who is an author, and we've done some stuff there which is quite imaginative work, and that really lends itself to something that's a little bit more free-flowing and loose almost, rather than me getting into my usual small brushes and messing about. So that's been quite lovely. And it's a bit gentler. So actually some of the other projects I've been working on recently have been in watercolor, but usually I paint in acrylic.
And obviously, Northumberland's a wonderful place. People are very passionate about it. What sort of customers buy your art?
I've actually been made to think about that this week, actually, for another reason, because I've just been on a course on Monday. I think a lot of people buy my work as presents. I wouldn't say they had a particular demographic, although they probably do if I look more closely at my Facebook insights and things. They are probably people who are interested in the same sort of things as me. There's a lot of people who will buy a memory of the coast, things like being on holiday or seeing something. People who are interested in nature, and I guess there's quite a lot of people who say, I love the light in your pictures, and that's the thing that a lot of the time, it's a bit cheesy as an artist to say I paint the light, but it is one of those things that I do spend half my time stopping dead on a walk and or on my hands and knees under bushes looking at light coming through a particular tree or something. So Yeah, I would say that I get quite a few commissions. Quite the bulk of my work really is on commission. So I do quite a lot of pet portraits, which is another strand. I'm quite fickle. And similarly, I've been asked to paint views for people as wedding presents or 50th birthday presents or things like that. So I paint what I'm told. But the rest of the time I paint landscapes and hope that somebody else likes those too.
Can you show me some examples of the sort of work that you produce, Hannah?
I can, yes, I can. So I'm actually working to exhibit a few in a couple of places locally in the next few months. So I've been working on some kind of smaller stuff that is portable, I suppose, but also kind of affordable, that's not ridiculous amounts of money and that um, they don't require a sort of 6 foot wall or that kind of thing. So I've been working on. I've actually sold a few of these already. I've been working on some little bird pictures, which combine my love of detail and nature, but also with throwing lots of gold and silver leaf at the place because I absolutely love metal leaf. So I'll show you a few of those. I've got a few of those. Right. I don't know whether you can see that one. Can you see it? Because they're very small. They're very weeny. So these, I actually have a set of these, and I've sold already a kingfisher and what was my other one? I can't remember now. Another owl. So they're not a set. These ones I paint because I'm interested in them. Can you see those there?
Yes, yes.
So they're little. They're only little panels. They're 4 by 12. And they hang straight on the wall, which is another thing that obviously then nobody has to then start paying for framing and all the rest of it. They also post remarkably well as well because there's no glazing on them. They just are they've been varnished, they've been matte varnished, but they're able to be stuck on the wall. They don't take up lots of space either, so it's quite handy for people really. You don't have people saying, "Oh, I like it, but I don't really know where it'll go," and I think that's something that puts people off sometimes if they're just buying something for the house. Um, so yes, that's one of the things. That's one of my current projects. There's been there's been 5 of those so far, and there's another 2 small panels, and they're not the same series, but I'm working on small panels for a couple of shows and things because they're quite nice to just have around.
And what sort of pricing do those panels come out at?
I sell those at 150, and that I tend to throw in the postage for that. UK postage will normally just go in that. So yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice, really special. Very, very. I mean, you could see those going on walls anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. And do you have any other pieces that you'd like to show?
I do. I thought I might show you a couple of my local maps. I'm a proper geek, and in lockdown, I started designing. Basically, I had a load of sketches of Riding Mill, and which is where I live, and I had a look at them and thought that I could actually make a map, an illustrated map of them, and I actually thought that it had been done. Because there's a chap who had painted the path of the Tyne right from start to finish, and he'd produced a lot of small illustrations. Everybody will know who he is. But it became a bit of a lockdown project, really, while I was trying to home educate my children and fighting with them at the table to do some work. I was designing a map of Riding Mill, which actually I produced, and I sold a lot of it. I was absolutely gobsmacked that it seemed to pique a bit of interest and people really liked it. And I'd enjoyed it so much that I then went on to do one of Corbridge and one of Lindisfarne as well. So I thought I'd show you. I thought I'd show you those. I've got my print. So I have the originals. There's no point in me selling anybody an original because the prints look exactly the same. My prints they're quite colourful because of the amount of detail that's on them. I don't think you can see this. So I've got smaller copies that I can actually show you so you can actually see. They're A2, and they've basically got history, geography, wildlife, and just some other kind of random facts. This is my Corbridge one. There is actually a sort of fairly accurate map in the centre of it. I'll show you the small one, so I'm probably having massive solutions. You won't be able to read any of the writing because I had these reduced just to see what they looked like. So that's in A4. So they have a bit of everything on them really, and they kept me very, very busy for months. These ones I've been rubbish at actually doing anything with them in terms of selling them. It was easy in Riding Mill because people knew me and they just knocked on the door and said, "Can I have a map?" The Corbridge and the Holy Island of Lindisfarne one that I haven't really sold very many of them. Sold a few here and there at various things, but they're quite interesting. Like I think they're interesting, but then I'm just quite dull.
Tremendous amounts of work goes into those,
Yeah,
into the research and also
huge
the
amounts.
drawing of
Yeah.
them, so
Yeah.
and they would look great on someone's wall.
Yeah, I have my original copies hanging in the hallway, and people always stop and read them because they're very geeky, but they kind of look quite nice. I hope.
And people are very interested in local, aren't they? People are very
Yeah, I think so.
in local and
Yeah,
where they live or
and I
where they
tried to
visit.
find some of the facts there were things that I had no idea about. I've lived here for a fair while, and I had no idea, particularly living on top of Corbridge, that you think you know about the Roman stuff, and everybody's done all the sort of there were some really amazing things that came to light. It was really stimulating work actually. It was really good. Really enjoyed it.
And how much would one of the prints be sold for?
I sell those prints at 65. They're Giclée prints, so they have actually been done properly by a Giclée printer on archival paper. So that's just an unframed price at A2. And I can post those or send them out on boards or whatever people want to have done with them. I can have them mounted, and actually very handily my next door neighbour is also my framer. So, so that's
How did you
really,
arrange
really
that?
well. It's absolutely fabulous, and it's great as well.
So that's very good. So yeah, that's really interesting. And do you plan to do more of those?
Yeah, the Hexham is always on my radar, mainly because I absolutely love the knights there in the Abbey, and I've been in and done some sketching in there, and I keep meaning to actually do the same thing with Hexham, but it seems to be that I've got lots of things going on at the same time, and it's such a big project. Um, they take a lot of time. They really are. I It would be nice. It'd be quite nice to do a Newcastle one at some point.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I encourage you to do a Hexham one, because certainly when we've had visitors or people who have come to stay, or sort of local people we want to buy presents for, there really is a dearth of local products about Hexham.
Yes.
I think were you to do one of those sort of visual maps, I think it would be very popular.
Yeah, they're definitely, it's definitely on my radar. And having done I did one of those culture trails with the children a few years ago, and like the one where you download the map and you go and do it one rainy day with friends when they were young enough not to complain. And it was great. And again, there's a whole barrel of history there that needs to be tap and painted. So yeah, of course. My Lindisfarne, I have a Lindisfarne one which is very similar, but my Lindisfarne one, that's the same. It's exactly the same format, really. So that's another one. These ones get gold leaf on them as well for the final print. This one hasn't, but that's my Lindisfarne maps. And again, because of the size of the print, I can't really sell those at that reduced size, which is a bit of a shame for fitting on people's walls, but it just doesn't work. There's not enough. I've written too small. So they're the same. They're A2, so they go in the same.
Fabulous. And anything else that you want to show at this moment or not?
Yeah, I'll show you one of my most recent. Where did I put it? This is another local one, but I probably should show you the original because this is probably going to reflect. But this is something else I've done nothing with at all. My daughter has piano lessons in Corbridge, and I quite often am dropping her off at a time where, over the winter particularly, there was a really good light in the alleyway where the Peel Tower is. And a few times I've dived out and taken photos of it over the years, and at night time and all sorts. But I actually got around to painting that, so I thought I'd show you one of my. This is one of my Coleridge prints. I don't know whether you can see that. But this is one of my paintings of the Peel Tower. That's wrapped, so it's very shiny at the minute. That's another Giclée print, and I sell those at 40. I have the original hanging here, and I haven't decided whether I want to part with that or not. No one's bought it yet, but I'm keeping it in my studio for the time being.
Now, I understand that you've got plans to develop your work.
Global domination.
Perhaps working with some businesses. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was approached by somebody that I knew from university who owns a company, a tech company, and he wanted a way of bringing his company strategy, I suppose, and vision and values to life artistically. And my first instinct, knowing that this would probably, it included company aims, and there were some financial targets in there, but they had to be represented artistically. And my first instinct was that he needed a graphic designer because this would all change in several years' time. But actually, because of being a tech company, he was really, really keen to err away from the computer graphics side of things and actually go down a more frivolous artistic route, I suppose. And the idea was that the document that was produced, the picture that was produced, would be used not just to hang in the HQ, but also to use as screensavers, so that the people who were visiting the office would see it, but also that the employees of the company would have their values there all the time. So it was used on display boards, and it was used as a screensaver and that kind of thing. And I loved it. Like, I absolutely loved the collaborative side of things. It was a really interesting insight into the way that people work, and it was just really interesting, really stimulating work. And it's a little bit like my maps. It's quite geeky. It involves a lot of moving things around. There's a lot of planning, and so unfortunately, I can't show you that one because it's got his company specific stuff on it. And because of that, I wanted to then paint something that I could take to pitch to other people. And so I had a sort of savvy trawl around local companies that have quite a good social media team, because really I just wanted a bit of free promo because I'm merciless. And also something very northeast. I wanted to go with a company that everybody identified with. So I chose Greg's, and completely without approaching them or anything, I just used all of their stuff was available. Their company strategy, their 5-year strategy was available online, a freedom of information, it was all there. So I painted that, and then I stuck it on my Facebook page and Instagram and tagged them in, and actually communications team have been in touch, so I am talking to them, not about, I don't want paying for it or anything like that, but it was really just a means of getting a little bit of opportunity, I suppose, to pitch to other companies, that really, because I don't like sitting on my own all day every day. I'm quite sociable and I quite like a challenge, and it sort of, it plays into all of that really. It's interesting work. So I painted, I don't, you can probably see in the background, the original is here. I'll show you a small version of it. They're absolutely bonkers. They're just ridiculous, really. They don't have to be like this, but they're very loud. So that's a very small version of it. And it basically has all of their aims and goals and values all smack bang into one kind of pictorial piece with a few Northeast references. But I didn't overpaint the Northeast thing, because obviously they sell in the UK nationally, so I didn't want to just turn it into a sort of Geordie vision. The original is huge. The original is there, and it's absolutely massive. So, and off the back of that, actually, I'm totally sort of different vein, but in a similar thing. I'm actually painting our C of E church vision for the next few years. I'm actually working with the vicar in the village to produce their 3 sides of A4 into something that can be used in a slightly more representative way. So it won't be quite as lurid, and it won't include pasties. But it's a lovely piece of work, actually. So yeah, that's interesting.
And you'd be interested to speak to any local businesses who might be interested in sort of
anyone who wants me to paint their vision for them. Yeah.
But it's lovely to talk to you, Hannah, and thank you very
Thank
much
you very
for
much.
showing us some pieces of your art.
Thank you for your time.
I'm Ruth Thompson from Sylvan Skills.
Ruth, what is Sylvan Skills?
Well, I'm a self-employed willow artist, and I work quite a lot with coppiced hazel and willow to make all sorts of interesting structures and sculptures and so on, but most of my work is with groups.
And how long have you been creating willow works?
Oh, well, I started many years ago, initially just learning about woodland crafts, probably in the 80s, and very gradually learnt more skills. Eventually we found a basket teacher in Northumberland, and since then I have been able to learn more techniques that I can use in my work. But the hurdle making has always been a sort of ongoing strand, because I enjoy that sort of thing.
And what's the biggest structure you've made?
Well, I made an incredibly large sort of crustacean on a polytunnel in a park near the Reddiff Bridge, and I looked on Google Earth the other day and they hadn't trimmed it, and I think the willow is about 50 foot high. But generally speaking, they're more the sort of thing I could carry in my trailer and then put in a wood somewhere. I made a horse last year, a full-size horse that was pulling a log, so that was great fun, taking it through Prudhoe on my trailer. Nobody took a blind bit of notice.
So where are we?
This is East Cramlington Hazelwood.
And tell me about the hazel that you've found in this wood.
Well, it's very unusual to have a pure hazelwood in the north of England, but we're very lucky that a forester planted it, and it was partly because it's under some power lines and they wanted something that doesn't grow too tall. But it's great for me because it means we can cut maybe half an acre every year, and now it's in rotation, so every year I've got a supply of really nice hazel rods.
And what do you look for? What sort of size and age do you look for in a hazel rod?
Well, this is too young at the moment. This is just regrowing. It's about 3 years old. So basically when it gets to about maybe 6 years old, because it grows quite fast here by the coast, traditionally you'd cut it about 8 years old, but I think for my purposes about 6 years old, and then we cut it down to ground level, and 6 years later it's grown back again.
So it's a very sustainable sort of source of products.
Yes, it's coppicing is carbon neutral really, because it takes in carbon as it grows, and it's locally grown, so it's a lot of people are asking me for things because they like the idea of it being locally sourced rather than from, say, Devon or somewhere like that.
I'm Claudia Sacher, and currently I'm standing in Hexham's library in the Queen's Hall, and you have just photographed a new painting I have finished today.
So you're an artist, Claudia, and where are you based?
Yes, I'm based in Hexham, and I've been living in Hexham for 20 years now, and I came over from Essen, from Germany, and ever since I've been working and living in Hexham.
And what inspires your art?
Life. Gestures. Yes, that's it.
And what means do you use for your art? What do you create your art on?
I always start with a drawing, with a charcoal drawing. Charcoal is my main tool. And I transfer those drawings onto different materials. Often the drawing is dismantled or destroyed. I'm interested in the process, and often I use it in performances. I collaborate with other people. At the minute with dance artist Esther Huss, and also with Karen Melvin, who's a photographer, and we create scenes and create short performances.
And you've got a particular piece of artwork here today. Can you tell us about this piece of artwork?
This piece of artwork shows a bird, and it holds a huge scene in its beak, and the scene somehow shows the circle of life, and there are some things going on. There's a person diving into something, and there's a flower, and there's a person lying. Maybe the person is sleeping, or maybe not alive anymore. There's another person which has no legs, and they're all interconnected with each other, and they're interconnected with the plants as well. And maybe they are shadows, but the other way around.
And what does this piece of artwork say to you?
I'm still trying to find a title, but usually I hear a poem in my ear. Sounds a bit. There will be a day when I find the right poem for it. I might write it myself.
And where is this piece of artwork destined to go?
I have some ideas that may feed into a collaboration with Esther Huss. She's a dance artist, and I'm the visual artist in our collaboration with Jeremy Bradfield as well. He produces sound, and maybe in a movement we will use the work to create sculptures, or maybe we move under it and make the scene move like this could be turned into a kind of movement, and maybe it will turn into a coat where we cover each other, or it might be hung up like a theater backdrop and inspire the whole scene with sound and movement. I may cut it or turn it into a huge paper cut, which was also a plan.
So this piece of artwork is about 30 foot by about 10 foot in size. How long did it take you to complete?
I started the drawing a couple of years ago, the white main drawing, and I recently found it in my studio hidden in a suitcase. And when I opened the suitcase, I remembered, oh, I have never finished this work. And so it's difficult to say how many hours or how many weeks, but I would say maybe 3 months all in all.
And we're kindly here at the Hexham Library.
Yes.
Because you wanted some photographs of it.
Yes.
And a friend of ours, a drone pilot, Dave Preston, has kindly agreed to use his drone to try and get some photographs. What will happen with those photographs? Will you use them in your studio?
I think I will use them in my next project, if I may, and also I use them to apply, or I will. Another idea was to make prints from them, and then from the prints make a laser cut. So the white people will look maybe black and maybe different colors, and produce smaller paper cuts from them. So therefore the photos will be very useful, besides documenting.
If people are interested in your art, Claudia, where should they go to see more of your art?
I have a website, claudiasacherart.com. Sacher is my last name. It's like a.
Do you want to spell that?
Yeah, it's like the chocolate cake from the Hotel Sacher, Vienna. You know, it's a chocolate cake, Sachertorte, you can remember. SACHER, claudiasacherart.com. Or I usually exhibit in Northumberland, and then I'll probably use social media to advertise.
Claudia, thank you very much for talking to Hexhamtv.
Thank you very much as well.
So Dave, you're the drone pilot.
I am, yes, yeah.
Is this an unusual project for you?
It is. Everything I've done with it so far has been outside. So yeah, it's a new challenge and an enjoyable one.
And what difficulties have you found using the drone inside on such a large piece of artwork?
Trying to get high enough to get all of the artwork in, which we didn't know until we tried it. Interference with the signal between the drone and the controller, and having no GPS, which means you can't always control it precisely.
So, do you think it'll work okay?
Yes.
Now we are in my studio in Hexham, and I want to show you some examples of smaller works and commissions I do. This is a commission I did for someone who wanted this commission for an office where she counsels women and who had after giving birth a depression, and so I wanted to produce a picture which is uplifting but also deals with the problems the women had, and the picture is like maybe 3 meters long and 1 meter wide. I do the commissions for the size of the space, and I consider the colors for them to fit in the space. There are some flowers in front of her office, so I used colors which I saw outside the office, and some of the women, I had a chat with them, shared some of their stories with me, and so I put those images in, but wanted to transform their personal issues into beauty. So when they come to this place, they feel comfortable and reassured that they leave the space put together well in a way. And besides these commissions, they're quite easy as well to handle. It doesn't look easy because the material looks very fragile, and because personal stories can be fragile, I use this material as well. But it can be rolled and also sent via post and attached easily to the wall with small nails. Sometimes people build a frame for it, but I really like that the work is easy to handle, also can be changed, maybe sometimes put into a different room. Often those kinds of work have another work on the back, or a poem or a text. So besides these bigger works...
how much would a commission like this cost, Claudia?
It would usually cost £2,000, but if somebody can't afford it, I would also... I usually ask people how much their hourly income is and match it to my hours. And the size, of course, has an impact. If somebody says, "Oh, I only would like half of the size," I would produce a smaller piece of work, and then it can be less expensive. But it would be nothing under £1,000 because it wouldn't. Yeah, there's too much work going on into it. I've done some smaller works as well. Maybe I can show you there on the table. So I'm working here at the table and using, on one hand, using images being inspired by the work I already have. And also those images were photographs sent to me by people on the mobile phone. And I put the mobile phone here, and this one was a picture somebody wanted for memory, meeting someone, sitting next to their friend. And it's always charcoal. I only work with charcoal and pastels, uniform pastels, which are made in Northumberland actually. And this is also a smaller work. Somebody wanted, I think this person had quit smoking and they started to eat cherries all the time to manage, and they wanted this to remind themselves. And this person was supposed to cut this person's hair, but injured this person a little bit with the scissors. And yeah, they were two friends, and they wanted this as a memory. Sometimes I use. Somebody sends me a poem, and they want the poem be illustrated. Maybe somebody sent me this poem, "Turquoise glimmer, £5 never get you anywhere. except to waste on chocolate, we crave on a cold day. So this could also be a way I could, for example, commission a small work. And those work usually cost 175 pounds.
Thanks for watching. You can also see and buy the artist's work by visiting www.shopnorthumberland.com. If you are a Northumberland-based artist, creative or producer who would like to be featured in a Shop Northumberland live stream, please email hello@shopnorthumberland.com.